Hello everyone, I hope the audio quality is a little better than in the previous video. Hopefully we won't need the subtitles this time, but I'll get them done if that be necessary. I know I have the tendency to mumble sometimes, which makes it even harder to understand me, especially when we got these strong spring winds. Today I'd like to answer a question that I get quite frequently, and that is, why do I own the CB500X? Also, there are a couple of sub-questions to that. The first one that I will answer right now is, do I have the A license or do I only got the A2? The answer is that yes, I have the A license, which means that I can ride any bike out there regardless of weight and power. And the other questions are usually, why the 500 or isn't it slow and lazy? Which I'll go through right now. There are several reasons that made me go for this option. And one of them is my previous bike that was a 650cc, which I had for around a year. I also like the older roads that are kind of bumpy and gets me closer to the nature where the entire bike gets to work. Not only the engine, just like the one at the beginning of the video that was kind of shaky. I could surely ride the same roads with a 1000cc or more, but for me there is no point into having more power than what I need, because besides the adrenaline rush you'll probably get from a bike with more torque, the rest will be unnecessary for me. It would be like owning the Addams Family castle. It will surely be cool and unique and a little scary sometimes, and just that. If I'd like to lose my license and risk my life on such roads, since they can be really challenging and tricky sometimes, that can definitely be done with the 500cc as well. To be more specific, this feels just like a regular heavy bike. It weighs the same, it handles the same. The only thing missing is the power that lets you hang it on the handlebars. Now, compared to the previous bike that I had, this one is definitely an upgrade when it comes to comfy riding position. Yes, there are a lot of comfortable options out there, especially when we're going to talk about larger bike in the adventure segment. But once again, I'm gonna relay this bike to my personal needs. Riding for several hours never got me tired, as long as I don't carry a backpack or have a passenger, because there is just plenty of room to stretch and move around. Oh, and I almost forgot the wind visor. Aesthetically, I'm not a huge fan of it, not even on this bike with all the adventure looks. I still find it more attractive without it. But I have to admit that this little piece of plastic that sticks up just like a transparent Statue of Liberty is actually a comfort miracle. Another important detail of this bike is the passenger seat. That compared to other mid-size bikes, it's large enough, but also low so the passenger won't just hang over my back. Everyone that has been riding with a passenger before knows that a comfy passenger means a comfy rider and a safer ride. This is another subject that's worth discussing, since there are many details that can be affected by the behavior, mood and mentality of the passenger. However, it's a long subject and I've got a couple of stories related to it, so I'll keep that for another video eventually. Now, to continue the list, I must mention the off-road potential of this type of bikes. Going just a little off-roadish is something that I've always found appealing. However, I haven't got a lot of experience, so I'm continuously improving my skills on the off-road. Of course, this isn't the Africa Twin, but it does the job. I mean, even with the stock tires, the 500X is ready to go on some cool yet naughty forest paths. They're obviously limiting the experience since they're not made for heavy off-road, and therefore an upgrade is required. Because with better tires that will increase the grip, this little machine is quite limitless, even when the nature goes all slippery, splashy and muddy. Last but not least, the cost. Yes, every country has different costs between different bikes. But for most cases, owning specific bikes at a younger age gets you almost bankrupt. And I think there is no good reason for that. Because you end up paying lots of money for crazy amount of power you barely get to use. When you do, most of the time it's illegal. A bike like this is extremely affordable. Everything from monthly costs, such as insurance and fuel, to maintenance, and even the bike price is fairly well balanced. So in order to have a moral of this story, I'll put it this way. Why would you overpay for a huge cage just to show off with it, when you can't even eat it all? You will eventually end up throwing it away, or even worse, you eat until you puke. Instead, the right amount of size will definitely leave you with a pleasurable experience. Despite the size and the power, I've heard people that never sat on the bike before saying, but you're crazy, irrational, immature, crazy, maybe a little stupid. Oh, did I mention crazy? Maybe some of these guys have been on a bike as a passenger, but Rossi kicked in and decided to show them how fast his superbike was, or how fast it could hit like 100 or 200 kilometers an hour, or worse, miles an hour, and left them traumatized by hanging like Superman capes. Maybe some just saw the lane-splitting wannabe Rossis doing slalom between cars on highway, and that's what freaked them out. It doesn't matter at all. Funny fact is that everyone can ride a bike and should consider that. Excuses like, someone might run into me and it won't even be my fault. That won't just happen if you're awake and undistracted. But if you're the type of person that just sees the green light and rushes towards it without even considering that someone might run their red light, yes, you might not fit on the bike, or you might not fit in traffic at all. Because if bike riding gets dangerous in any possible way, it happens because the rider allows the situation to become dangerous. Otherwise, as long as you have the right mentality while sharing the roads with others, you'll be safe. And during the rush hours when you go to work or come back home, you might just also be a little faster than everyone else. With this being said, I'll end the video here and I'll see you next time. Feel free to subscribe to this channel if you'd like to follow my journey. Stay safe everyone. Cheers!